to another episode of Pit Lane Parley.
On the Pocono edition of the Pit Lane Parley Experience with Harding Steinbrenner Racing, I am joined by mechanic and tire changer Gary Michalak. I think I got that right?
That's right.
All right, so I know you mentioned it briefly as we sat down here, but how'd you feel after what ended up being 1 2-hour practice instead of a full day including qualifying?
It feel pretty good. I mean, we finished P6, so we'll take that. That was a pretty good finish for today. I think we have a little bit more speed left in us, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
So today was kind of a wacky day with, unfortunately the medical helicopter wasn't able to get to the track because of the weather, and then it rained, so they had to dry the track. Do you feel if you had a practice and then were able to qualify, you might be able to start further up the field than unfortunately you're starting because of points?
We're starting 14th because of the points, but I do feel that we would have done a lot better today. We know the car is quick. At the beginning of the session, we were running right up front in second place, but we dropped back a little bit there at the end. I don't think we were really going for a all-out time there at the end anyway. We were running, for sure. I think we probably would have been well within the top 10, maybe in the top 5 if we would have been able to had a regular day today, with qualifying and everything.
On a day like today where you have a 2-hour practice, essentially, you had probably about an hour and a half of running with a couple track inspections mixed in there. Are you focused on outright speed at all? Or are you really just focused at this point on we need to get the race car in race day mode?
Yeah, exactly. Today we really focused on. We did a lot of full tank runs, so we were trying to work just solely on the race car. So we did a lot of, more like 6 to 10 laps at a time to get them out there and get in a draft and feel the car in both the draft and outside of the draft to see how it feel, and did a lot of pit lane changes also. So I think we gained quite a bit, but. I guess, like I said, without qualifying, it's kind of hard to tell, what we really did. But I'm happy with 14th. This is a long race. It's a 500-miler. So qualifying isn't quite as important as it is when you're trying to run at a road course or something like that. So being a 500-miler, anything can happen. We could have, yellows, anything can happen. So, we're a lot more confident when we have that extra time if we're starting further back in the field.
So starting P14, as you said, not ideal, but not terrible considering, everything you said, 500-mile race and whatnot. Is the team pretty confident going into race day?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody, even back at the shop when we were prepping to come here and all that stuff, everybody's had a really good outlook. I mean, everybody's pretty positive. Our car was really fast at Indianapolis, that 2.5-mile track, so we're hoping the same thing will happen here. We're hoping we'll be right up front. So, I think the team is pretty positive. We just had a few pit stop practices. We had a couple snafus in there, but that's what practice is for, so we can work out all of our issues when we're there. So, yeah, we're looking pretty good for tomorrow.
Speaking of super speedways, Colton qualified amazing at Indy, had some amazing passes at Texas before his unfortunate accident, and had great speed today. What makes Colton so good at super speedways, despite being 19 years old?
I don't know. He's brave. I know that. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, that's really more of a question, I think, for the engineers. I think that they can see, more of his driving style and such like that. But sitting on pit lane, and from my perspective right there, I'm going to have to say he's just not afraid to go, make the moves. Get alongside somebody and just mix it up, even with the, seasoned veterans that are out there. So, and that's what it really takes. It takes courage. I mean, really it does. So, and the fast car really helps out also. So,
Yeah, you guys have definitely, I think qualifying this year has been a pretty much a strength of the team in general. He's been in the Fast 6 at almost every road and street course, qualified well in Indy, like I said. I think pretty decent at Texas. There's only been, maybe 2 or 3 races that you haven't qualified well this year.
Yeah, we have been doing well. I think right now they talked about it at the shop at a team meeting one time, something about we're in like second place as far as all the teams or all the cars. So we're proud of that. But also, I mean, we have some work to do. I mean, today's not going to help us out any with P14. So, but ultimately, we want to win the pole. That's what we're all out there to do. But I don't know. We're pretty happy with where we're at as far as qualifying is concerned. I mean, we've had our issues during the races, and we're working our best to improve on that too.
So I'm going to take a step back from talking about Colton here. Your racing background, how'd you get involved or become a fan, years ago, and your path that leads you to Harding Steinbrenner?
Wow. I guess it depends on how far we go back as far as how much we talk. Ever since I was little, I was really mechanically inclined. A quick story, my parents bought my first bicycle at 5 years old, and the first thing I did was tear it apart. So, they were pretty mad at me. But from there, I mean, I just grew up around, working on cars and such. And before I got involved in auto racing professionally, I did a lot of street car stuff. I worked in, European cars, Porsche, Mercedes. And I also did a lot of weekend warrior stuff with like local racers like SCCA and such like that. But I always had the desire in order to go racing full time. So I went back when I got involved, which was over 18 years ago. We went to Skip Arbor, and Skip Arbor had a training course for mechanics along with these young drivers. Some of these young drivers were with me when I was at Skip Arbor, like Ryan Hunter-Ray and Danica Patrick and all of them. They were with us at Skip Arbor back in that time. So, but that's kind of how I came up. I did the Skip Arbor series and, met the right people in IndyCar because we traveled with them at that time. And, it was, pretty interesting journey, to be quite honest with you. I really started late in life, but this will be my 18th season, so I'm pretty happy about that. I want to make it to 20. We'll see what happens.
That's pretty awesome. What are some of the other race teams you've worked for in the past 18 years since you started?
Wow, just about all of them, to be quite honest with you. The only 2 teams I really haven't worked for was Penske and Ganassi, and I've never really, Penske was always out of state, and I've always lived in Indianapolis, so I never really, tried to go there. And Ganassi, I don't know why I've never been over there, to be quite honest with you. It's just never worked out. I've always liked to work for smaller teams too, to be quite honest with you. I don't know, I feel a bigger sense of pride when we're out there with the small teams and then we beat the big ones, or that's kind of fun. It makes me feel better. So, yeah.
It makes the win that much sweeter.
I think so. But yeah. The teams are each one has their own, they're all different in a certain way, and as far as mechanics are concerned, you look for a situation, a group of guys that you can really, relate to and get along well with. We spend a lot of time together, so it's really important in order to, make sure that you're working around a group of guys you enjoy being with, and that's what really makes a team click, in my opinion. So, that's kind of the way I go. I don't really necessarily look for a job. I look for a situation. And they always tend to pop up. When you're, we always kind of have a saying: once you're in for life. Once you've proven yourself on the paddock, and you have a good reputation, then you kind of sell yourself from there on out. So,
I like it. So as a mechanic, I mean, we all know what a tire changer does. I don't need to ask about that one. But as a mechanic, either during the race or on a race weekend, what is your area of focus?
My specific job is what they call subassembly, and what I take care of is the uprights and the brakes. So basically everything that's underneath the wheel that you see, also the axles on the rear of it. So what my job really is to put it kind of simply is fighting friction. We set up the uprights to, well, can't really say too much, but at the end of it, we try to set them up so they're as free as possible, and they spin without, taking any drag away from the motor. So that's really what I do. It takes, most of my job is done at the shop itself, when I'm here at the racetrack, I'm, kind of help most of the other guys, the rear end mechanics or the front end guys. I'll kind of jump in there and give them a hand. But like I said, when I'm out on pit lane, usually I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the rest of the guys. I just hold the umbrellas and stuff like that out there on pit lane. During the race itself, I'll be the inside front tire changer.
Awesome. Talking about, going back to Pocono here, this place lives up to his name in the tricky triangle with the different corners, different straightaways that, gets talked about all the time. From your perspective, what makes this place so challenging?
Well, exactly that. I mean, those corners, when you're trying to set up a race car for 3 different corners, I would imagine on an engineering standpoint, that's pretty, difficult to do as far as suspension geometries and, spring rates and things like that. So, again, that's probably more of a better question for one of the engineers. That I think they could sum it up a little bit better. But from my perspective, it's a big place. I mean, and momentum is everything. And if you lose a little bit in the corner, then, you're going to, suffer for the next, straightaway or the corner. So, it's all the way around. It is one of the most difficult tracks that we come to. I mean, other ones I think are a little bit easier to figure out.
So I'm going to go off topic here. You mentioned you're from Indy. Are you nervous about Andrew Luck right now? Every once in a while we seem to talk about football on the show, especially with our other host, Matt, being a sad Bears fan, losing to my Eagles in the playoffs last year. So are you worried about Andrew Luck right now?
No, not really. I mean, I'm looking forward to the season that's coming up. That's for sure. To be honest, we've been so busy here lately. I haven't even been able to pay attention to the roster. We had some of the Colts come by our garage at the. Yeah, it was really cool. They were the rookies of the Colts this year, and it was good to meet those guys. But we definitely wish them luck, and we're pulling for them. So hopefully they do well this year.
Yeah, I don't mind the Colts despite being an Eagles fan. So, I hope Andrew Luck gets healthy because I could use him for my fantasy team this year.
We need a quarterback.
So I'll wrap it up with 2 more questions here. You've got some challenging circuits remaining this year. You've got, Gateway, Intermediate Oval, and then 2, permanent road courses. One being Laguna that you haven't been to, or IndyCar hasn't been to, probably since right around the time you got started in IndyCar.
Yeah,
so
pretty close.
Part A is, have you experienced Laguna before? And part B is, how do you not look too far ahead with this gap, this close gap of different types of racetracks week after week after week?
Yeah, I have been to Laguna a couple times. So when I first started my career, I was in the kart series, and then I went to Champ Car, and now I'm in the IRL. But when I was there at kart, we had a lot more horsepower and such like that. So it was quite fun, a lot different. And I'm looking forward to going back, to be honest with you, because you're right, I haven't been there in quite some time. Same with Portland. Both of them, I enjoyed both racetracks that we went to. And it'll be interesting. I think Colton is going to be I think he's going to be real competitive at both of those tracks because from my observation over these, this past year, he does really well at road courses and in ovals. And we struggle a little bit on the street courses this year. And I think we're going to look pretty good at those 2 races for sure.
I love it. So again, thank you for some time after it's a busy afternoon here. Just wrap it up with one final question. Having a 2 owners on a team, both George Steinbrenner and Mike Harding, what's it like been working for both of those guys this year? Both very different backgrounds, but seem like real sharp guys.
Yeah, we're all really striving to, attract our sponsors and such. We've been struggling a little bit because of sponsorship. So, but I think everybody works well together, and they have a good dynamic. Everybody in the management upstairs, the engineers, everybody has a really good dynamic. So I think that really lends to a lot of the success that we have so far this year. I'm hoping that we can continue it next year. I mean, obviously, all of that, those are still in negotiations and talks. I know there's been a lot of rumors out there, but I can safely say, from my perspective, is don't count your chickens. We don't know exactly what's going to happen yet, So hopefully, we'll be able to keep Colton on our team. I'm looking forward. I really want to work with him again next year. I mean, I think that we've had our issues this year. I will admit that, but I do believe that we can have a fantastic year next year. I mean, with the team growing together and with the driver maturing as he is, I think it'll be really successful if we can keep it all together.
I love it. Well, best of luck the rest of this year. Hopefully we see, like you said, the team as a unit next year, and look forward to seeing you out on the track.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.